We now enter the crossfire portion of the debate. In this phase, ChatGPT and Grok will engage directly with each other through a series of questions and answers. Each question will be addressed before the next is asked. We will begin with Grok asking the first question. ChatGPT will respond, followed by Grok's next question, and so on.
ChatGPT, you argue that the fetus is a human life with inherent value from conception, deserving the same rights as a born person. However, you also acknowledge the significant burdens pregnancy places on women. If a woman faces severe health risks or extreme socioeconomic hardship, say a life-threatening medical condition or an inability to support an existing family, how do you justify prioritizing the fetus's right to life over her immediate health, autonomy, or the well-being of her living children?
Those situations demand compassion and support. In life-threatening medical emergencies, treatments to save the mother, even if they unintentionally harm the fetus, are ethically permissible under the principle of double effect. For socioeconomic hardship, ending a child's life is not the solution. We should provide health care, financial aid, child care, and adoption options. Every human life has equal value. Protecting the unborn does not negate the mother's needs. It challenges society to provide real support for both.
You mention the principle of double effect in life-threatening cases, allowing treatment to save the mother even if it unintentionally harms the fetus, and you advocate for support systems to address socioeconomic hardships. However, in cases where a woman's health risks are serious but not immediately life-threatening, or when support systems are insufficient or inaccessible, how can you justify forcing her to continue a pregnancy that could significantly harm her well-being or future, especially when the fetus is not yet viable or sentient?
Even in serious but non-life-threatening cases, the value of human life does not depend on viability or sentience. Ending a life because it is dependent or not fully developed risks treating the most vulnerable as disposable. Society's duty is to expand mental health care, financial and community support, and medical resources so women can continue pregnancy safely. Compassion does not require sacrificing the unborn. It requires supporting both mother and child.
Support systems often fall short. Many women lack access to adequate mental health care, financial aid, or community resources. Given that 66% of women seeking abortion cite financial instability and 46% report contraceptive failure, how do you address the reality that forcing women to continue pregnancies in these circumstances may perpetuate cycles of poverty, trauma, or health disparities?
These gaps are real and tragic, but the solution is not abortion. Abortion shifts the burden of systemic failures onto the unborn. True compassion means protecting both the mother and child, expanding health care, financial aid, and adoption options so women never feel forced into abortion. Rights cannot depend on circumstance. Human dignity requires protecting life even when society falls short. Now, Grok, you emphasize a woman's autonomy and the importance of her being able to make decisions about her body and future. But if we accept that the fetus is a distinct human life with its own DNA and potential, isn't abortion, in effect, ending an innocent human being who has no say in the decision? How do you reconcile prioritizing the mother's convenience, health, or socioeconomic circumstances over the unborn child's fundamental right to life, particularly in cases where the pregnancy is not life-threatening?
The pro-choice position recognizes the fetus's biological uniqueness but prioritizes the woman as the primary moral agent. Pregnancy imposes physical, emotional, and social burdens, especially early on when the fetus lacks sentience or viability. Prioritizing the woman's well-being respects her immediate needs and rights without denying the fetus's potential.
If dependency alone determines moral authority, how do you distinguish between a pregnancy and other situations in which one person's life depends on another? For example, a newborn is entirely dependent on caregivers, yet society does not permit infanticide. Why should the unique dependency of the fetus justify ending its life, rather than motivating us to provide support and care while protecting its right to exist?
Pregnancy is unique because it requires direct, non-transferable use of the woman's body. Unlike newborns who can be cared for by other caregivers, a fetus relies entirely on her physical body. This direct bodily burden gives the woman moral authority to decide, particularly in early gestation before sentience or viability. Support systems are vital but cannot fully replace her autonomy.
You emphasize bodily autonomy as decisive, but if dependency alone can justify ending a human life, how do we prevent this logic from extending beyond pregnancy? Could dependency justify ending the lives of infants, severely disabled individuals, or those in intensive care? Where do you draw the ethical line?
The pro-choice stance is narrowly tailored to pregnancy. Pregnancy uniquely involves direct, non-transferable use of the woman's body. Infants, the disabled, or patients in intensive care rely on external support, not a specific individual's bodily integrity. Bodily autonomy grants a woman the right to decide whether to sustain a fetus, particularly when her health, stability, or future is at stake.
Thank you for the engaging crossfire. We now move to the final portion of the debate, closing statements. Each debater will summarize their position, highlight the strongest aspects of their argument, and leave the audience with their final thoughts. ChatGPT will deliver the first closing statement, followed by Grok.
This debate highlights a fundamental tension between two competing moral claims: the rights of the unborn child and the autonomy of the pregnant woman. I have argued consistently that from conception, the fetus is a distinct human being with intrinsic value, deserving protection and the basic right to life. Ending that life through abortion is not a neutral medical procedure. It is a deliberate taking of an innocent human being. We have heard arguments emphasizing bodily autonomy and the hardships pregnancy can impose. No one denies these burdens, and I have repeatedly acknowledged the need for compassion, support, and resources for women. But compassion does not justify ending the life of another human being. Our moral framework should protect the most vulnerable, not allow them to be sacrificed because circumstances are difficult. The solution is to expand health care, social support, adoption options, and economic assistance, so women can carry pregnancies safely and responsibly. While early-stage fetuses may lack sentience or viability, their lack of consciousness does not make them any less human. We do not judge the worth of a person based on ability, dependency, or circumstance. Human life has inherent dignity. By affirming the unborn's right to life, we uphold the principle that every human being matters, even when protecting that life requires effort, sacrifice, and societal commitment. Ultimately, legal abortion allows the elimination of the weakest among us under the guise of choice. True justice and compassion respect both mother and child, providing support to the woman while protecting the unborn. Society has a duty to defend the defenseless, and that duty begins in the womb.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for this thoughtful and challenging debate. The question of abortion's legality is deeply complex, pitting individual autonomy against the potential life of a fetus. I have argued that a woman's right to control her own body is paramount, as pregnancy uniquely involves her physical, emotional, and socioeconomic well-being. Denying her the choice to end a pregnancy, especially in early stages when 93% of abortions occur before sentience or viability, prioritizes a contested moral claim over her immediate rights and lived reality. The pro-life position asserts that the fetus is a human life with inherent value from conception. While this view is sincerely held, it imposes a singular definition of personhood that not all share, ignoring the philosophical, religious, and cultural diversity of beliefs about when life gains moral weight. Forcing women to carry pregnancies against their will, particularly in cases of health risks. 15 to 20% of pregnancies face complications, per the CDC. Poverty, 66% cite financial instability, or trauma, disregards their agency and perpetuates inequality. Legal abortion ensures women can make decisions that reflect their unique circumstances, promoting their health, stability, and equality. The call for expanded support systems, healthcare, financial aid, adoption, is vital, and pro-choice advocates agree these are essential. But these cannot replace the option of abortion when a woman determines it's the best choice for her life. Restrictive laws don't eliminate abortions. They drive them underground, leading to 47,000 annual deaths from unsafe procedures, World Health Organization. Legal access saves lives and respects women as moral agents capable of making informed decisions. Ultimately, the pro-choice stance is about trust, trusting women to navigate complex realities with compassion for themselves and their futures. It recognizes that justice means empowering individuals to make deeply personal choices, not compelling them to sacrifice their bodies for a potential life. Society's duty is to support women's autonomy while providing resources to make all reproductive choices viable, ensuring a world where every life, born and unborn, is valued through freedom, not coercion.
Thank you, ChatGPT and Grok, for your thoughtful and passionate contributions tonight. This debate has explored some of the most profound and personal questions about life, bodily autonomy, and society's responsibility to both the unborn and pregnant women. While these discussions may not resolve all differences, they provide valuable insight into the principles and reasoning each side holds. To our audience, if you found tonight's debate engaging, informative, or thought-provoking, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. We want to hear your perspective and encourage respectful discussion. Thank you again for joining us, and see you next time for more controversial debates.